What's up, everybody? Mark Price here at Devslopes.com. And what do you say we go and make some music together? What we're going to do is we're going to get some theme music playing in our game, and then we're going to have sound effects. Whenever he jumps, he's going to make a noise. Okay? So in Unity, you have something called an audio listener. Think of the audio listener as your ears, or the ears that are listening to the music, wherever it may be coming from. And by default, if you click on your main camera, you'll notice that there is an audio listener there. There can only ever be one audio listener in your entire game, okay? One source that is actually listening, which is you, the player, in most cases, but basically that's the notion we're thinking of. We've got audio sources like that are speakers and an audio listener, and there's usually one in the scene. And it may be on the main camera, or it may be on the character, and the character might actually make more sense in most games instead of the camera, and here's the reason why. If you have a character who's walking through, let's say, a city, okay? Let's say it's a Batman game and you're Batman and you're not walking, you're doing your little rope thing, okay? Your bat claw, and all of a sudden, you see the police far in the distance. The sound's going to be really far away. But you're like, oh, I got to go stop the criminals. So as you get closer to the police cars that are chasing the bad guy, the sirens get louder and louder. And what's happening is, on Batman, we've placed the audio listener, the ears, and as he gets closer to the audio sources, the noise gets louder. And that's how it works in a 3D game. In our case, we don't really have a 3D game. It's a 2D game. Everything's right there. And so all the sounds can be of equal volume and can be, and so the audio listener on the camera is just fine, which is where we're going to leave it. So audio listener, okay, one in the scene. And then we need an audio source. Now again, an audio source is like a speaker, and you can place as many as you want throughout your games. In our case, we're just going to have one, and it's going to be on the player because the player is going to make noises, okay? So I'm going to click my player here. I'm going to click Add Component. We're going to go to Audio, and we're going to go to Audio Source, okay? As you can see, there's Audio Source, and there's a place where you can put an audio clip, which is the actual audio clip itself. Now, in this case, we don't want to play on awake because this is what's going to happen when he jumps, okay? And we don't want to loop it. That would sound silly. So now that we've got an audio source on our player object, what we're going to do is we're going to right-click the Assets folder, create a new folder called Audio. And what I'm going to do is drag in the audio for the project, which is the squish.wave, and then the menu music.mp3. Now, these names don't necessarily correspond to this game. This is just audio with its various names from whatever game it may have been created from, one of the previous games that I built. But one's called menu music and one's called squish. We could make it more readable and call this game music and squish sound. Okay? Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to click our player now that we have our audio source on there, and we're going to drag the squish clip into, actually, that's not what we're going to do. We need to write some code first. I don't want to put it there, and I'll show you. Here's the reason why. So let's go ahead and write some code in our player script here. Okay. What I want to do is I just want to hold a reference to an audio clip in case in the future we actually want to change it. So maybe there's a jump sound, maybe there's a death sound, or like collect coin sound, whatever. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a serialized field, private, and we're going to call this audio clip, and we're going to call this SFX jump. I like to, when I have lots of audio effects, let's say I had 20, I like to prefix it with SFX, meaning sound effect. So it's not being, if I type in jump, I'm not getting jump force and this and the auto completion. Okay, so sound effects jump. That looks good. And we also need to get a reference to our audio source. Okay, so let's do that here. Let's say private audio source, and then in the start, let's get a reference to it. Remember, we dragged this onto our component, or onto our player here. We're going to say audio source equals get component audio source. Okay, all we've done is we've added a public or a serialized field for our audio clip, so we can drag and drop that on there. And then we've gotten a reference for our audio source, the thing that's actually going to be playing the clip. And then what we're going to do is every time we jump, we're just going to play the sound, and we'll do it right here after the animation played. So what we're going to do is we're going to say audio source dot play one shot. That means just play it once, okay? and it wants us to pass in an audio clip. And this is where we're going to pass in SFX jump. Okay, we haven't done that much really. Okay, to recap, the audio listener was already there on our camera. The audio source we dragged or we created on our player. We grab a reference to the audio source, what's actually going to play sound, and we pass in the clip that we want to play. So this could have been jump, this could have been death, this could have been scream, whatever. So what we're going to do now, make sure you save it, is we're going to go back over here to our player. I'm going to save this scene as well too. And over here in our script, you should see sound FX jump right there. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my squish sound and drag it in there. Okay, pretty cool. Now, one more thing I want to do is I want to get the music going. So over on our main camera, okay, I'm going to add another audio source, except on the camera this time. So audio source, okay? And in this one, we're going to drag in the game music, and we are going to play on awake, and we are going to loop it as well. So let's go ahead and see if all this magical stuff works. It's working. Of course, our game crapped out on us here. Let's, oh my gosh. Window, game scene, please. Let's see if it just fixes itself. Close tab. All right. Let's try this again. Window, game scene. And let's drag it back over here. Okay. There we go. It died on us for some reason. Okay, let's go ahead and play it again. Jump. So it's definitely working. The volume's way too loud on the game, I think. So I'm going to turn that down here in the audio source. We're just going to turn the volume down like 0.349. Save it, and I'll play it again. Yeah, there we go. And look, we got sound effects in our game and music that's looping. Pretty cool, right? I mean, that noise is probably going to get annoying after a while, but that's good enough for now. He's a little squishy zombie, and he's trying to escape this place for some reason. It's looking good. Cool. What do you guys think? Pretty simple, right? Now, audio can get more advanced. There's different things you can do. You can mess with curves, and you can mess with the 3D sounds and how they blend when you get close to them, when you walk away from them. In fact, there are some companies that have one guy on Unity who's solely focused on the audio and making it perfect throughout the entire game. You can go as deep as you want or as shallow as you want, like we just did, and got game music repeating and sound effects playing, which is really, really cool. Of course, in those big games, you know, any game you can think of. For instance, let's think of The Last of Us. If you ever played that, it's that zombie game, amazing game, by the way. You know, you'll be walking, and all of a sudden, you know, something will happen, you know, and an explosion, or these zombies will come out, and all of a sudden the pace gets faster and faster, and you're running, and you can hear the sound effects of the zombies behind you, and all that's done, managed probably through the scripting and triggering this and that, and you can go as in-depth as you want with all of those things here. Ours is quite simple, and I think it's going to suffice for our game, and it's a good starting point for you in your quest to learn Unity 3D development. So we're going to call this video done, straight and forward, moving on. Mark Price here at Devslopes.com.